Hey everyone! Hello, hello! It's Rita from Miss Rita to the Rescue. How are you today? We are just fabulous here. It's a beautiful, beautiful day in Peabody, Massachusetts. Sunny, a little chilly, but I was talking to a friend of mine in Minnesota this morning, and she was saying that it's cold, but it might be time to put in plants. Are you guys, good morning, Dawn. Are you guys gardeners too? I am not a gardener. I am very good at planting things that look beautiful, but require very little work. Good morning, Pat. Hi, Susan. Hi, Maria. Good morning, welcome. So yeah, I'm very good at planting things like hydrangeas and peonies and irises and things that come up all the time. Good morning, Amy. Hi Penny. Oh yes, feeling very good today. It is 1 week since my last treatment. It wasn't my last treatment, but it was my second treatment. So I'm halfway through. Hi, Wanda. Yeah, so halfway through and feeling better. It seems to be that it's a whole week before I feel like back to my normal self, but that's okay. I can deal with that. I mean, there are still little glitches that happen in week 2 and 3, but I mean, I can deal with once every 3 weeks. Thank you, Susan. Hi, Teresa. Welcome. So it's beautiful here, and I was thinking about going outside, but you know, not really, because I'm not a gardener. But I was thinking about my patio, and thinking about, boy, it's not going to be too long before we start to have outdoor gatherings. Maybe they're not going to be the same as the gatherings that we've had in the past, but I think people will still have. Yeah, I'm halfway done. Emmy, I did, but I got so slammed yesterday afternoon, but I'm going to respond, okay? And yes, Susan, 50% done. Halfway point. Sorry about my squeaky chair here. I think I need a new chair. But, so yeah, so I don't know about you guys, but you know, I do like, I'm not a big fan of the heat, but I do like that kind of family cookout, you know, where you just kind of sit around and drink lemonade and, you know, maybe the kids get sparklers and you know, you just chit chat and get to be with people, and maybe that will be not such a big crowd going forward, but a small, intimate gathering. And so I was thinking about, you know, what would I want to put on my table? And actually, you know, I've had in the past some events where I've had to make things for them. And there've been many tables. And so I've done a lot of these tea lights. So today I wanted to show you how to put together, isn't this just so fabulous? Doesn't have a light in it yet, but I just finished it. That's why I was a couple minute. Spiked lemonade. Now you want lemonade. I drink lemonade all year round, but I mean, you know, like fresh lemonade and corn on the cob and you know, stuff like that, and just kind of getting out of the house and doing baked beans on the grill. I don't know. I might be hungry, but you know, I'm just thinking about that. But anyway, so this is a really pretty, and it's free. It's a tea light. It's called Patriotic Tea Light, and it's free, and it's really kind of big. So I'm going to hold it in both my hands so you can see. It's really bigger than Oh, yes. Yes. Everything. Cheeseburgers and, you know, whatever you eat. I don't care. But just the idea of getting together with, you know, 4 or 5 friends and enjoying the afternoon and not working and just kind of enjoying each other's company. I'm missing that. So I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about, well, you know, 4th of July, but also Memorial Day is coming. And so I wanted to show you this free and pretty awesome thing, SVG from our friends over at Dreaming Tree, which can be found at 3D SVG.com. And again, it's free. You do have to set up an account with them, but you won't be paying anything. Excuse me. Okay. So you won't be paying anything, and we're going to do this the same way as we've done things with Lori Whitlock's shop, and then also Mary at SVG Cuts, right? You need to how to download this file. Good morning, Dorothy. Okay, so let me show you how to every step, and then I'm going to show you how to bring it into Design Space. So get ready because I want to show you a few tricks that I've learned over the years with Design Space and outside SVGs, and particularly with these types of files from Dreaming Tree, okay? So first, you know, when you come here, it's 3dsvg.com, you add it to your cart, and then you go and view your cart, and for me, I'm going to proceed to the checkout, and I have to log in, and it just automatically remembers me. And then I just place my order because there's no payment, right? If there was something you purchased, then you would have to put in a payment, and I think they take credit cards and PayPal. I always use PayPal. So, so I place the order, and once I place the order, I would download the file. Remember those zip files? Now I'm working on a Macintosh. So, okay, so here, right here, where it says Patriotic Tea Light, free SVG, that I'm going to click on that box and I'm going to download it. And it's going to come down to my downloads file. Now it might be different for your computer, and you may need to have a zip tool, like an unzipping tool, and several people offered a couple of pieces of advice there. It's just a little widget, a little tiny piece of software that helps you to unzip it. But once you download it into your let's go to my downloads. So once you download it into your download file, it would appear in download. So here are all my downloads that I have yet to upload in Cricut Design Space, and I'd have to find it. And this is where in my downloads, where is this thing? Downloads. Maybe it's not here. Didn't I? Oh, I did. Guess I just didn't download it from here. Okay, download. Okay, so so here it is. Let's see, where can we find it? Right there, Patriotic Tea Light. And the thing about these files from 3D SVG is that they do it differently than Lori does and Mary does. And what they do is that they have individual colors in their SVGs. So here, by the way, is where you would go and print the PDF that explains what you're going to need. And this is just the PDF. Try not to open that up in Design Space because you'll get an error message. So when I hop on over to Cricut Design Space, I would then go to Uploads right here, okay? And I would do the same thing of uploading each of the individual SVGs. This is different than the Lori. This is different than Mary when you do the separated, because it ends up being, to do this project, it ends up being 6 different SVGs that you have to upload. Excuse me. Not all of them come in one package is what I'm saying. So you're going to browse, go to your download file, okay? And look for Patriotic, wherever it may be. Yeah, downloads. Patriotic Tea Light, SVG, right? And then when I click on that SVG file, on the very right-hand side, you'll see that there are 6 different SVGs listed there, okay? And you need every single one of them. And this is a very tedious part of the process. Hopefully, they'll come up with a different solution, but it can be very tedious to do this, so I'm just warning you ahead of time, okay? Oh, you did, Amy. So, oh, wonderful. The sunflowers are beautiful, aren't they? Amy's saying she made the mason jar box card with the sunflowers. I love sunflowers. So anyway, so there are 6 of these, and it is very tedious, but you have to click on each one and open it, and then save it, and you will get them listed here in your recently uploaded images. I'm going to delete this one just simply because I already have them. So here are my 6 right here. Now be mindful that if you have a very, very large SVG that is from someone like this, like the Dreaming Tree, and they have more than, I think it's 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And I've seen these where SVGs come in 12 separate files. You are only seeing recent upload images. So in the event that you have more than 12 that you've brought in, you do need to go to view all, and it will show you all of them, and it will show you those, you know, past the 12 that you recently did. Okay. So I've already uploaded these all. So I'm going to bring them in by clicking on them, and I'm going to insert images. And here they are. Now, we're going to do what we need to do, which is we have to attach remember we have to do that. Let me just make this a little bit smaller. So I'm going to put these over here. Okay. So we have to go and attach where the lines are. Let me just show you. So here is a piece of the lantern that has that dotted, like the dashed cut line, which I call it a score line, but it really is not a score line, okay? So you need to make sure that that dash cut line is attached to those pieces. So we definitely have to do that attaching. That's just a given in all SVGs, and attaches over here on the right-hand side, okay? So down here on the bottom, it looks like a paper clip. So just attach that. Now there are several pieces that need attaching, including this one, which is the base. And you'll notice it has attached to it, or grouped with it, I should say, it has these 3 red badges. And this, while I understand they're grouping together, and then you have the 4th one in red, okay? Well, I understand it's an easier way to do things by grouping it this way. It becomes problematic because, first of all, the reds are not all the same color. So if you went over to Color Sync, you'll notice that one of the red, this individual red, is not part of that other red. So we need to change that. And I'm going to drag and drop that together. So now all of the reds are going to cut out in the same red color. Perhaps, I don't know, but perhaps they were thinking one of them could be cut in glitter or something. But for me, for my eye, I want them all to be the same. But this is probably how they, separated them out. Not sure. The other thing that's problematic about this is that you notice this is a very big file. Now, this isn't really a problem if we're going to cut it on 12 by 12. However, it does become a bit of a problem for things like this piece. This is vellum. This is going to be the vellum piece, and they're grouped really well. I think this way is fine because I use 8.5 by 11 inch vellum sheets. So grouping it this way is fine. But if I wanted to cut more than one, remember I was saying, you know, I've done these for groups. So sometimes I'll cut 2 or 3 of something at the same time. And in fact, every morning when I go to make these files, I cut 2 out. I cut 1 out to show you that what it looks like completed, and 1 out to show you how to put it together. So this is a problem because look over here. This gold, which is the gold foil, this is the way that it's grouped, and this is problematic because it will not do well on an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of foil, and that's the only foil that I have. And if I cut out 2, it's going to take up the whole space, and I'm going to be wasting a lot of paper. So what I want to do, what I usually do, is I separate these images. So this gets a little heady, so stay with me, okay? But I want to make them free moving, right? Because right now they're not. And there's no way, if you notice up top, there's no way to ungroup them. There's no way to detach them. They came in that way, and that's the way they want you to cut it. But I don't want to cut it that way. I want to cut it on foil that's 8.5 by 11, and I don't want to waste my paper, and I want to cut more than 1. So what I am going to do is I am going to use something called the contour feature. The contour feature is something a lot of people don't know about or use all that much, but it's really a fun way to help you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually duplicate this file. I mean, I suppose I could do it 2 ways. I can duplicate it, or I can just take it and contour. All 4 of these things are exactly the same. So let's just use the contour. I don't want to get you confused, okay? So we need to have 4 separately moving gold badges type of thing, okay? So we're going to hit contour down here, contour. We hit that, and you're presented with this hide contour pop-up window, okay? And we've done this before, but we haven't really talked about it all that much. But basically, it's a way for you to hide part of an image. It doesn't work all the time, but it works most of the time. And you're able to hide, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to hide 3 out of the 4, and that way I have an individual image, okay? So to do that, I'm going to hit this, which says hide all contours. That's the easiest way to do it. However, if you wanted to, you could go through and click on each of these, and you notice they go from like shaded to not shaded. So, but hiding all contours will leave just one item contoured and 1 item on your mat. So now we've eliminated 3 out of the 4, but we're not done because we need to add in the middle, because right now all we have is this outline because we hid all of it. So we're going to click on these items here, okay? And then when we're done, you actually just X out, and there you have only the 1 out of the 4 that we had, right? And now what we can do is we can duplicate this 4 times or 3 times, okay? So I'm going to duplicate it 3, 4. Now I have 4 individually moving images, perfect for cutting on an 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper. Let's go back also and talk about this here. I can do the same thing with this here, and especially if I'm going to be cutting multiples, I might want to take and have those badges cut on a separate thing than the base. Okay, so we can do the same process, but because we attached already those cut lines, that dashed cut line, we have to detach. And until you detach, you will not even be able to choose contour, okay? So I have this together, and I'm going down here, and I'm gonna actually detach it. And it doesn't actually accomplish what you think it's going to accomplish, because if you now move it around, you're like, Rita, I detached it. It's still together. And I understand that, but it's just how the SVGs are created. You have to also ungroup it. Okay? So now, it is even still together. Okay? It is even still together. So we're going to use that contour feature. All right, so we're going to go back to contour, and there's our image. And in this time, instead of hiding all of them, we're just going to hide the big piece, because we can cut these and they look okay, you know, individually. So we can just hide the big piece. And when you come back, you'll notice there are your cut, your dashed line that does the scoring. You would just eliminate it, okay? But now you're left with, okay, but I don't have a base now. I have my four red things, and I don't have a base. Well, you could have duplicated that part of the SVG before you cut it out. And then you could have done this twice, or you can just go here and come back to your recently uploaded images and upload it. It's up to you, whichever way you want to do it. The first couple of times when you're doing it, you forget that you actually need those pieces. So what we're going to do is the same thing. We're going to ungroup it, right? And then we're going to contour. And in this case, I want to hide all the pieces. So I want to hide those 3 badges. So now here we go. And then make sure, but especially before, you kind of move it, but make sure that you now attach, because you won't get those cut lines. Okay. I hope I have, not confused anybody. Hi, Lisa. So this is how we separate out images that are kind of come in together. This is our way. And don't feel like if this happens to you, and actually I'm going to show you another little trick. So if I wanted to separate these 3, we can go back to contour, right? And we can hide all the contours except for one. Could do this. This is kind of superfluous, but just so you know. And we don't want this one, but we want this. So we come back, and there is our individually moving. So it's really important, if you're a frugal person and you're trying to save paper and you like to fit as many things on a piece of paper as possible. And again, you guys know I'm a bit of a paper hoarder, I'll use the word. And so I like to have my pieces move individually so that I can squish them all onto a page, okay? And especially when you're using 8.5 by 11. You could do the same thing for the blue as well, but I'm not going to do it for this particular demonstration. So I hope, are we good? Oh, good. Hey, Wanda. Okay, so now we're here and we want to cut it out. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to cut out more than one. It's just my nature. I always cut when I get a new file. I usually cut, again, I cut 2. One that I can show you completed, and the other one that I can show you demonstrated how to put it together. I'm not sure if I'm going to have time. If you want to stick with me, we can try. But to do the putting together, I might be able to show you real quick. But let's look at what it looks like now to make it. What do I get? Oh my gosh. I have the phantom dashed cut lines. Oh no. Right? So I have to turn around and go back I have to cancel, because if I go through this and I put nothing on there, it's just the machine is just gonna go through the motions. It's not gonna work. Now you could ignore it, but somewhere along the line, something is not attached to those cut lines. So let's go back and make sure all of ours, and here's the culprit, it's this one here, and we have to attach it, okay? So let's go back to make it. And then here I have each individual. So to make this file the way that it's set up, it is 6 sheets of paper, 2 red, 2 blue, 1 of the gold foil, and 1 of the vellum. But I want to make 2, right? So I'm going to change my project copies to 2 and apply. Now, thankfully, because my vellum is 8.5 by 11, this is a vellum. You can buy it also at all the craft stores. This is called translucent vellum. We've done this before. We've actually color coded them before, and it's beautiful paper. It's a little bit difficult to work with, but once you get the hang of it, it cuts beautifully on your machine, okay? And it really gives off a really nice look, especially when there's a light behind it. That's what this white is inside. So you can see that's the vellum. So, but my vellum is 8.5 by 11. I've only known vellum 12 by 12. Cricut had a vellum not too long ago that was 12 by 12 in different colors, but they don't carry it anymore for some reason. So, but in this particular case, this is going to work because I know my 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of paper will fit fine on the mat. So I'm going to skip over these 2, and I'll need to use 2 pieces of vellum. But coming back here, this is my gold. And this could be tricky because I want to do this on 8.5 by 11 inch paper, and it might be tough, and of course you could try it, but sometimes things get cut off because you don't put the paper on the mat correctly. So the best thing for if you're dealing with, like, my gold paper is 8.5 by 11, just like my vellum. So if you want to indicate to your machine it's 8.5 by 11 paper that I'm using, you would actually go over here. Once you're on that mat, you go over here to material size, and you use this drop-down box. And you can choose 8.5 by 11, which is also called a letter size. It's right here. 8.5 by 11 is the size of any paper, like that you use in a printer, copier, that kind of thing. And then you'll also see that there's a bunch of other things here. And so you can choose 8.5 by 11, and immediately it goes through the process of saying, okay, you're cutting on 8.5 by 11, so we're going to set it up so that, you know, everything cuts on the sheet. And you notice that I am going to be able to use 2 sheets of 8.5 by 11 paper, and I'm not going to have to worry, is it going to not cut out? Is it going to, be cut off? That sort of thing. So by changing the size of my material, it doesn't change your mat, it just changes the material so the machine knows, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. Now, this process you don't have to do all the time, but it's helpful when you're cutting out things and you want to make sure that they fit on the page. So, you can use any size paper, any size bit or scrap in your machine, and you don't have to tell the machine this, but you're using this because it's a tool and you're using it to help you, okay? And then the same holds true over here. Now, the reds, if I wanted to, for instance, if I wanted to make this separate from this, and I realized, I want my badges, the red badges, to be glitter, which I didn't in this particular case, but let's say I did, then I would go over here and change my material size to 8.5 by 11, and it's putting the base, which I'm going to cut out, let's say, in regular red cardstock, and then it is moving my 2 bases there, and then it moves my my badges to separate mats, which is really cool because it's got 8.5 by 11. So if you have like glitter that's 8.5 by 11 or whatever, maybe you didn't change the colors and you realize, I want to use a pattern sheet for the bottom, which you could do. This is a good way to get around it without having to go back to your canvas. Okay, so have I lost anyone here? I know that we're getting deep in the weeds, but this is a great, these are advanced techniques that are really useful to you, especially as you go forward and you're doing things a little more advanced, okay? So, and then you would continue and you would choose your materials. Now, vellum is a separate material. It cuts separately, okay? It cuts separately, differently from your regular materials. And so you definitely need to use a custom setting. And when you hit continue, this is where you choose the materials, okay? So in this particular case, I am going to cut this out of order. All right, I'm going to cut all of the regular cardstock first, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to cut the vellum, and then I'm going to come back and cut the gold. And so the majority of my mats are regular cardstock, okay? So what I would choose here is medium cardstock. However, once I chose that, I need to choose... No problem, Rita. I need to choose the mat that I'm going to start with because, with the machine, it's just going to start at the top. But did you know that you can cut these mats separately in any order that you want? You absolutely can. And you can actually go back if you had like a problem with one thing, you could go back and recut a mat. This is so simple and something that people don't really kind of tell you about, but it saves a ton of time. So in this particular case, I would go to my 5 because the first 2 are vellum, the 3rd and 4th are foil. And so all of this, I'm going to start with 5 and I would go and then cut. And then the machine says, or the software says, okay, we're starting with 5. And then as we progress, we're going to then do 6, we're going to do 7, 8, 9, 10, right? And it's going to do the check marks next to it all. And then when it gets down to 11, it's going to go back up to the top to where you left off. That's how that works, okay? And in this particular case, let's say we cut out all of our cardstock and now we're ready to cut out the vellum. We need to change the material. So we're going to go to the material setting. Before we cut this, we're going to go to the material setting, click on medium cardstock, and you can either favorite certain things, which I have favorited vellum, but if you haven't favorited it, you can go to browse all materials. And so here in the materials, you can either browse, scroll through all of these, or at the very, very top, you can just type in vellum. And it has 2 L's, by the way. Vellum. Oops. V. Why is my... Oh, I don't know why my thing is going. My thing is not typing. Okay, that's not the software's fault. Let's just... Oh, maybe... So instead, I'm going to go, that's not this, I think it's my keyboard needs to be charged. Okay, so instead I'm going to find it. And here's paper, and it's under paper. So here it is, vellum. So I'm going to choose that. And then I'm done. And then immediately my material gets back to vellum. That's how you change midway through a cutout, okay? And so you don't have to separate your project. You don't have to say, oh, I have to hide the vellum pieces and cut those separately. You just simply need to know when you're putting in your mats what the majority is going to be, and then when you're ready to cut those special pieces, you need to know you need to change your material, and that's how you do it. So I think I lost some people, but the people that I have kept, I'm thankful that you have stuck with me today. But and let me show you how this goes together, because it's really a beautiful thing. Again, it is a 4-sided with a base, you see? And let's say we cut it all out, which I did, and I'm going to move my camera. Hold on just a sec. Okay. So I hope this, and I'm in a slightly different place than I normally am. I hope this is going to work. Okay, so here's my base piece. Let's put that aside for now. And then we have this is the actual lantern. And then I have my gold, my vellum, my red, and there are actually some blue pieces to finish it up. Thank you, Susan. Okay, so we have to go through and make sure that all of the dashed cut lines are folded over as a tab. So, and I always do it both ways. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like really fussy. But, so let's do that for the blue. Okay, so here's our blue, and now I used Cricut cardstock. Remember, it has like a texture. You probably can't see it, but I know this is the outside edge for both pieces. I'm going to flip them over, and I'm going to attach them together at this point. This is the only place where I'm going to attach it together first, okay? So I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. And don't use a lot, and line it up really good. You make sure that it is right on that edge, okay? And keeping it with the back facing up, let's do the vellum, okay? So here's the vellum. Now vellum, as I said, it's really kind of a special material. So you need to be very careful when you're using it because it can like get wavy. Hi, Natalie. So Natalie's asking how many mats to use. Well, when I did this, I cut them out twice. So let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mats, okay? And this cannot be cut on the Joy unless you resized it to be significantly smaller, which you could do. But this is demonstration for Explore and Maker people. So, okay, so going back to vellum, don't put the glue on the vellum, first of all. That's the first tip. But then use it very, very sparingly because it warps badly and it's very hard to unwarp it. You have to replace it and it's a pain in the neck. So I'm putting glue all around, and then I'm going to press down. I'm going to place it there, and I'm holding the piece and press down to make sure it adheres because it has a really different kind of a texture, okay? So there is, and I would do that same thing for all 3 pieces, okay? So let's just say I did all those 3, and we'll flip it over. Now I have to create the outside piece, which includes this red, remember, this gold foil, and this little piece, okay? So the way that it works is you're gonna layer it. The red is on the bottom because it has the most, like, you know, it has the most to show. If you put it this way, it would hide that's how you can tell, right? So I want to put the red and then the gold, and then I'm going to take the blue piece and put it over there, and then I'm going to take the whole thing and put it on here, So let's start with the red. And I'm just going to show you one time because I don't want to take up too much of your time today. Okay, so there's my red piece. Oop, did I center it right? Yeah. Gonna just follow the page where it's cut out slightly off. That's okay. You can also put these together before you put them on the lantern. That's not a big deal. Either. It's up to you how you want to do it. You can get all assembly line on it, which I actually have done. I think I mentioned this before, I made for my friend's husband's memorial, I made one of these free lanterns, the one that's a dragonfly. And she had how many tables? Like 20 tables. So I made 20 of them. And so I put together all the pieces separately, and then when I got there, then I could, because it was a ride to get there, and so then I popped them open and completed them. But I had them all like made up and ready to go. Okay, so there is what this looks like. I'm glad it's been helpful to you, Wanda. That's great. Okay, so pretend that I've done all 4 sides, but I'm not going to do it because it would take a lot of time. And now what I'm going to do, so I have all 4 sides complete. Now I'm going to make this enclosed, okay? So I'm going to put the glue here on this tab, and working on a flat surface. That's really important because you want it to be squared off because it's a box. I tuck the tab in and I press down and make sure that that seam got attached. All right, and you can test it by sort of folding it this way. Make sure that it's all squared off. If it isn't squared off, it will not fold correctly. So while the glue is still wet, you can kind of undo it if you need to. But this is squared off, and my almost ready for completion. I'm going to fold in these tabs. I didn't put enough glue here. I did not put enough glue there. Let's just put a tiny bit more. Okay. Right, okay. So I fold in the tabs, and this is the bottom. So you have 3 tabs, and then this flap. And we're going to put glue on these tabs, and then we're going to close this flap over the tabs, okay? So let's do that. Put some glue. You might want to go a little bit extra on this part. All right, just a little extra, especially in the corners, because you want it to attach, okay? And then, ever so carefully, you're gonna do the flap, close it up like this, all right? And make sure that it's all centered the way that you want it. Now, the glue hasn't really attached all together. Like it still feels like it could pop up. So once you get it sort of squared off, then turn it over and then use whatever you have. Like you can use scissors. Oftentimes I just use my glue bottle, and I make sure that all those tabs are really pressing on there so that the bottom is attached. See that? They also give you this piece, which is just a bottom piece, and it creates a sturdiness there. So you just put a little bit of glue there and lay that in, and it also hides those tabs, but you still need to push it down. We're almost done. The last part, and it's optional. I mean, you could definitely put this on your table like this, but the last part is optional, which is like kind of like a little stand, and which is why I mentioned, this might be something if you have some patriotic paper. Okay, Emmy, you're going grocery shopping. Okay. Oh, she's gone grocery shopping while she's watching me. Oh, that's so like me. I would do something like that. Okay, so you don't have to do the stand. You can do the stand in a separate color or like a really fun patriotic thing. But so I chose to cut it out in red. I think maybe I'd go back and use some of my patriotic paper that I recently got from Echo Park. I think that would look really nice. But all I'm doing is folding all along. It's kind of like a pizza box, this stand. I'm folding it all those dashed lines. And now I have to attach these tiny tabs. There's one on each corner. Glue here to the edge next to it. Okay. Hold it for a second so that it sticks. Repeat the process all the way around. Okay. And I got one more to my little pizza box. And once that's set, it's just a matter of putting the glue on the tabs. And you'll do a better job than me, remember, because you'll be very careful and diligent, and I'm kind of rushing. But make sure, now this is hollow inside, so don't push too hard, okay? So, but it will hold those tabs, the glue. Make sure you put enough glue there. You could turn it around like this if you wanted to. But it's a hollow, like pizza box type of thing that becomes the stand. And then you take your completed actual lantern and you glue it on this way. Real simple. And that is how you put this together. And the only thing you need to do from this point is to get a little votive, and do make sure that you're not using actual candles. The votives are simple, you know, to find, easy to find, and you'll find them everywhere pretty much. But of course at craft stores and online, you can buy a whole bunch. I usually buy them at Christmas time when they're on sale and just kind of keep them in a drawer. So when I make things throughout the year that require lanterns. But can you imagine sitting, you know, by, you know, at the on the patio and, you know, enjoying your lemonade, and then it's starting to grow a little dark and these are on. It just really wonderful for the ambiance of it all. I just really like this, and it's free, so you don't have anything to lose by downloading it and trying it out. Just don't get overwhelmed about the contouring thing, and yeah, if you have to watch the replay, watch the replay, okay? And that's it for this project and for today's Cricut chat. I'm trying to think. Tomorrow I was hoping to do a project from Mary at SVG Cut. So when I choose which one that I'm going to do, I'm trying to remember. I think at the lemonade stand. I have to go look at my writing. But when I choose that, because I think the lemonade stand can, yes, it can be cut on the Cricut Joy as well. So let's do that tomorrow, and that's from Sun Valley Cards, and I will post a link to that. I don't need to post a link to, well, I'll post a link to 3D SVG just in case you forget where to pick it up, okay? All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. I know I lost a few people, but that's okay. We devotees, we Cricketeers are following through and learning a whole lot. I hope you're learning a whole lot. And let me know if it was helpful to you. You can always send me an email at missritatotherescue@gmail.com. You can message me on Facebook. But I'm not really good at personal messages on Facebook, and particularly because the way that my private and my personal pages are set up. So email's better, or you could join one of our groups and ask a question in the group. We do have a group called Miss Rita to the Rescue community page, and that's where I would post these replays of the video, and a lot of people are getting help in that community group, so you can join there. Okay? Hey everyone, we'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy this lovely, lovely day. Take care.